Yo, what up? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Kai, aka Fervent Alchemist, and I'm back again with another deck tech. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to give me a big old like and subscribe if you haven't already. And also check out the sponsor below in the detail, tcgplayer.com, where you can find all of your magic goodies. And now let's get into the video. So we got here Protect Your Deck. I had been watching the Wu-Tang documentary series. Very good show, by the way. If you haven't watched it before, you should watch it. Also, one of my favorite songs, Protect Your Neck. So I was like looking for a deck that could exemplify the Wu-Tang. And so I made a deck called Protect Your Deck because I'm attacking your goddamn deck with the teamer duo Haldan, Avid Arcanist, and Pako, Arcane Retriever. If you don't know, here's a quick history lesson. My name is actually based off of this card here. That's where I got the templating for my name, which would be Kai, Fervent Alchemist. So, and also it's based off of Full Metal Alchemist. But yeah, I really loved this deck when I was playing cEDH back in 2020 or 2019, I can't remember. But back when this came out, I was having a great time playing cEDH during the pandemic, and it was excellent. And I entered Time Twisted 4, and I made a stacks version called Meta Dog, which was a teamer deck that was just supposed to attack the meta. And it was insane to play like Assault Suit and Blood Moon and things like that. It was cool. But I have here a version that is kind of like Meta Dog, but it's also a cross between a Turbo Breach deck. So we got Haldan, Avid Arcanist. It's 2 in a blue, legendary creature, human wizard. Partner with Pako, Arcane Retriever. You may play non-creature cards from exile with fetch counters on them. If you exile them, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. And he's also sitting at a 1/4. He's got a thick ass there. Forget I said that. But you got Pako, Arcane Retriever as well, which is a 3 red-green legendary creature elemental hound. Partner with Haldan, Avid Arcanist. It has haste. Whenever it attacks, exile the top card of each player's library and put a fetch counter on each of them. Put a 1/1 counter on Pako for each non-creature exiled this way. The idea with this deck is just to slam down the Pako first and, start swinging and then play the cheaper commander Haldan. And that's usually the typical play pattern for this deck. Is you drop Pako down because it's the bigger mana investment, and then you play Haldan on maybe like turn 2, turn 3, and then you just start playing all the spells that you have fetch counters on. And with this deck, this is a cross between a Turbo Breach deck, and it's also a cross between my old version Meta Dog, which was a kind of sort of stacks deck. I did add in a couple new cards here. So we got Narset here. Narset part of the Veils. Each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn, which is a stacks effect. It also has the -2 ability to look at the top 4 cards of your library and put a non-creature card into your hand. It's non-creature, non-land card. Yeah, you get to put a non-creature, non-land card. This deck is chock full of non-creature cards in here, so you're gonna find something easy. You got Ral, Storm Conduit. This is one of the combos actually. I actually put in a combo with what is it? I was trying to do the Reverberate and Twin Cast combo with Ral, but those 2 cards turned out to be really good counter spells. it just turned out to be really good value pieces. So I never actually got this combo off. However, the way that I've been winning with this deck is Storm triggers and Ral. So I'll eventually get to the Breach, and then I'll cast like, Brain Freeze, and it'll be like Storm count 10, and each of those copies pings for 1. And that's how I've been closing out games. I've just been closing out games with Ral and Brain Freeze, and I don't need anything else after that. It's great. The creature suite is a very low. You got like Delighted Halfling, Ragavan, Tinderwall, Dockside, Elvish Spirit Guide, Simian Spirit Guide. There's a common trait between all of these creatures, and that's because all of these creatures make mana. And they also make mana in some kind of burst, or they do it in a sustainable way. So yeah, that's why they're in the deck. So you're like, again, you're just looking for those turn 1, turn 2 Pakos, and you're trying to slam that dog down as fast as you can.
Here we go. Uh-oh. Here it comes, yes. Here it comes, ladies and gentlemen.
Then you got the sorcery suite here, which is dope. You got Gamble, of course. Gamble's such a great card. Personal Tutor. We're going to get more into Personal Tutor later on, but there's plenty of good sorceries in this deck. Rite of Flame, turn 1 Pakos, you always want it. Summer Bloom. This is because when you start swinging, you're going to start exiling cards off of opponents' libraries. So Summer Bloom does the thing where you can play 3 of those lands per turn, which is great. And also, because I played this in Punt City, which was an in-person tournament, you have a lot easier time grabbing cards from your opponents. So I usually refrain from playing Haldan and Pako online because people get annoyed and they're like, well, I don't want to deal with this dog, and I don't want to deal with these triggers, and it's really annoying, and I don't want to deal with it, so therefore I'm going to remove it, although it does nothing to me. So you got a lot of people who get a little salty, or they get a little annoyed that I'm exiling cards from them, and they'll just remove Pako just because it's annoying and they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to read it. They don't want to deal with the attack triggers, and it's annoying. But I put Summer Bloom in because it's really easy to pick up all those cards off Haldan and Pako. It's easier to just pick off all the cards from your opponents when they're sitting right across from you. But Summer Bloom, it's just a quick burst of mana for 3. It's essentially +1. It's a net positive for 1. Yeah, Summer Bloom's an amazing card. You got 3 visits. 3 visits is it's just a Felwar Stone pretty much. It's I would say 3 visits is kind of like a Felwar Stone because it searches your library for forest and just pops it into play. Felwar Stone also works, similarly. You pay 2, you get 1 back, but for 3 visits, this is more on color, and it doesn't feed Dockside, which is great. You got Anger of the Gods, which is a Narset card. This one just deletes all the creatures that are, toughness 3. Haldan is sitting at a 1/4, and it's great. Just wipes the board clean. Makes it really clear, or gives a clear lane for the dog to swing in and kill somebody. Dryad's Revival. You've probably already seen this before if you saw the K9 and Fugitive Doctrine video, but this is an intuition pile. Dryad's Revival serves as a function of Savine's Reclamation, which can also be put into your pile. And I went over that pile in the K9 Fugitive Doctrine video. I'll link it somewhere in the video, or I'll just put it right here. You got Jessica's Will. Jessica's Will is a cool card because normally when you play Jessica's Will and you're tapped out and you're just gonna make red mana, usually you're like, well, I kind of want to reserve 1 or 2 mana up so I can get this Jessica's Will off. But the thing is, for Haldan and Pako, all of those cards in exile can be cast as though they were mana of any color. So when you make a bunch of red, it doesn't matter. So you can just go ahead and just start casting those cards with all the Jessica's Will mana. This is also the other reason why I was playing Blood Moon in my earlier version, because it doesn't matter if all my lands tap for red, because I'm exiling all the cards at the top of the library and I can use mana of any color to cast them. Jessica's Will is an excellent card. And also it's really good as a Seething Song as well. So you can get that extra burst of mana so you can cast more spells. Got Wheel of Fortune, Windfall, of course. You just want to draw some more cards because you'll be dumping your hand like crazy to get this Pako out. You got Capture, Jingzhou, and Temporal Manipulation. Two of the same card, actually. Same mana cost. Just take an extra turn after this one. You know, you get the most value out of swinging with Pako, and taking extra turns is the best way to accrue that value, as well as, taking extra turn, untapping all of your permanents, drawing a card. That seems pretty good, right? They can also be looped or brought back with Dry Survival. And in case you're wondering, there are no turns loops in here. The turns in this deck are just for straight value. You're just trying to get to that breach, and that's all you're trying to do. Crop Rotation is here because it's only here to get one land. And I will show you later what's in here for. And it also is there for ramp. It goes ahead and gets Ancient Tomb. So Crop Rotation goes ahead and gets Ancient Tomb in case you need a pinch of mana. So we got Dispel here. This is a card you don't usually see in a lot of decks in cEDH. Dispel is a very unique card because it only counters instant spells. However, I have this theory that if you're playing cEDH, most of your counter magic should be 1 mana or free. And I feel like that's a really good way to lean, because if you keep a diverse, I'll say, counterspell suite, and all of your counter magic is 1, you can always pass the turn with 1 or 2 mana up, and that's either 1 or 2 counter spells, which is great. And this is kind of like a teamer control deck, not so much like a turbo breach deck or anything like that. It's just a teamer control deck. So you most of the time you kind of want to just keep up mana, because you're also revealing cards and getting cards off of your opponents, which are usually sometimes counter magic because they're most abundant besides land. So you got Lightning Bolt. This is just here to kill the Drannith, because Drannith is the worst enemy of this deck because your extra hand is in exile, and everybody can see your hand in exile, which incentivizes people to play more Drannith Magistrates. So you got to make sure that Drannith Magistrate never hits the board, or never stays on the board, actually. Noxious Revival is a card you really don't see that often. Noxious is in here because you can just pop any card back on the top of your deck and, swing with Pako, maybe like an extra turn spell. And also can pop other cards back on top of your opponent's deck, so you can steal them as well with Pako. Okay, you got Born Upon the Wind in here. Like I said, it's a controlled deck. Sometimes you just want to sit back and draw cards off a Rhystic Study, and then when you're ready to go, you can just pop down this Born Upon the Wind and just go straight to work. Increasing Vengeance is in here. This was my copy of Reverberate, because I didn't have a Reverberate when I initially made this deck. FYI, I made this deck in about 9 hours. If you saw my Putt City blog, I was in the middle of making it before I was going to a party, and I finished it when I got back at like 2 a.m. or something like that. Like, the list was already done. But this was the only card which was supposed to be Reverberate, and I found out Increasing Vengeance actually does a lot more work than Reverberate, and it's insane because you have Increasing Vengeance, which is a red instant, copy target instant sorcery spell you control. If Increasing Vengeance was cast from a graveyard, copy that spell twice. Instead, you may choose new targets for the copies, and has flashback for 3 red. So there have been times where I would just, play like an Intuition or something, and I would crack the LED, and then I would pay 2 mana, and I would flash back Increasing Vengeance, and I would copy the Intuition twice, maybe like a counter spell, anything really. It's just really cool. Yeah, I didn't know. It has the same wording as like Savine's Reclamation. So it says if you cast it from a graveyard. So you can copy most spells in this deck, which is really cool. It hasn't come up too often. However, I'm thinking about cutting out Twin Cast, which is the sister card of Increasing Vengeance, which was supposed to be in the Ral combo. But Twin Cast also copies cards like Ad Nauseum and like, like Peer into the Abyss, if anybody's playing that. Also copies Born Upon the Wind, if, opposing Born Upon the Wind. You go straight to work after after the second Born Upon the Wind. It's great. So either Increasing Vengeance actually is going to probably come out, and then Twin Cast can stay, because I also built this deck to, steal Necropotences and steal Ad Nauseum. So it's kind of like a low-key Ad Naus or Necropotence deck, which I did steal a Necropotence during that tournament, which is cool. It was great. I ripped it for 25. You got Muddle the Mixture here. This, like I said, this is a Breach deck. I'm going to be looking for Breach. Yeah, that's what it does. Muddle the Mixture has the transmutability to look for anything that's 2 in your deck. So you're gonna make an abundance of mana because you're in green, and you're gonna go ahead and search for your Underworld Breach, and you're gonna win the game. Easy peasy. Then you got the typical counterspell suites up here. Intuition, like I said, there's a pile in here, the Teamer Intuition pile. You got Rushing River in here because I'm not running Chain of Vapor anymore. I don't want my dog getting bounced when I have to remove opposing stacks pieces or opposing things in my way. So I have Rushing River in here. This is usually the better card in my opinion. I usually don't want to remove anything more than one at a time. So this has the most autonomy over my targets, so that's why I'm running Rushing River. You got Force of Vigor as well. It's really good in a pinch. You're drawing cards off of Ristic Study. Somebody's just feeding into your Ristic Study, and you say, go ahead. Brain Freeze, great. I'm gonna go ahead and Force of Vigor that Breach. Okay, GG, pack it up. Anything of note here? I would say Curse Totem, because it just completely hoses like Kin Index, because I knew there were going to be a lot of fucking Kin Index in that goddamn tournament, and there were. And I didn't play against any of them, which is great. I also knew there was going to be a lot of Sisay, so I had Curse Totem in there for Sisay as well. Defense Grid, because we're trying to win now, we're trying to win fast, so Defense Grid, great. Grinding Station, same reason, just helps with more redundancy for Breach. Posture Mech is a clone. I think it's the only clone we can play besides Cursed Mirror, which you can exile off of Pako and play. Lightning Grease is just some extra protection for Pako and Haldan. Torpor Orb, because opposing Docksides can get fucked, and also other Thassa's Oracles can get fucked as well. One Ring is in here. I just wanted to say hello to the One Ring because since I last played this deck, it was probably like 2019, and the One Ring was not printed, but I think the One Ring is pretty excellent in this deck, and I'm happy to see it here. There's one card that I was trying out, actually. There's a counterbalance here, but don't mind that. There's a Mirror Maiden here. I really wanted to try this. This card is insane. I really wanted to just play this so I could copy One Rings, and I could copy Smothering Ties, things like that. I did copy a Smothering Tithe, and I hit a wheel off of it, and I won the game, which was really cool. But yeah, Mirror Maiden is a pretty underrated card. It copies Ristic Studies, copies so many other things. It's just really cool. It's a really cool card. As for lands, the only thing that I want to really mention here is Homeward Path. That's why Crop Rotation is in here. It's just here to get Homeward Path because people like to Gilded Drake, Pako, or Haldan because, it's a good choice. It's a good choice to get rid of these creatures and not have them under my control. So Homeward Path is a great option because it returns all creatures, not all permanents, all creatures he or she owns. And that's about it. I just really like this deck. Also, some secret sauce for you guys. If you ever play this deck, I just want you to know that Haldan and Pako both have an ETB because they have partnered with. And you can see right there in that little, parentheses box, it says When this creature enters the battlefield, target player may put Pako into their hand from their library, then shuffle. So you can go ahead, ETB Haldan, target yourself, look for a Pako, fail to find, and you get a free shuffle. But yeah, that concludes this video. If you like what you saw, or if you want to go ahead and try this deck out, feel free to leave me a comment, subscribe, let me know what you want to see in the future, and also, peace. See you later.